The current geopolitical dynamics impacting the Iran-Israel rivalry amid the Russia-Ukraine war has some unanswered questions which ask for your attention. Hi and welcome to a brand new episode of The New World Order with me, Atul Mishra. Let's begin. Israel is one of the most militarily strong, diplomatically successful countries, but it is surrounded by hostile nations which are ready to launch a full-scale aggressive invasion and destroy its sovereignty anytime. One of these countries is Iran. Let's know what are the current geopolitical dynamics impacting the Iran-Israel rivalry amid the Russia-Ukraine war. Tehran is busy plotting the downfall of Jerusalem, and for this purpose, it is actively pursuing its controversial nuclear program. Therefore, in order to counter the military and diplomatic rise of Iran, Israel has come up with one of the stupidest notions in the realm of geopolitics. It has decided to send iron domes to Ukraine. Apparently, Jerusalem is not realizing that its decision can have long-term implications on its interests in the international arena. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, stated that his country's government is thinking about delivering iron domes to Ukraine. The Iron Dome, which was built to intercept volleys of rockets and artillery shells, is possibly the most sophisticated missile defense system in existence. Regarding Ukraine's ongoing requests for military assistance, Netanyahu was questioned about providing the missile defense system in an interview with French television networks TF1 and LCI. In that interview, Netanyahu said, "I said I'm looking into it and I'm doing just that," reiterating a statement he made to CNN recently. Last year in October, Ukraine made a formal request to Israel for Iron Dome and other advanced weaponry. The news is shocking given the fact that Israel is almost an ally of Russia. In fact, over the years, Israel has built a strong diplomatic, military, and economic partnership with Russia. Israel has always received the support of the US. However, the relationship between Washington and Israel has been quite unpredictable under different presidents. Take the case of the Obama administration. Obama's irrational foreign policy culminated in Jerusalem consolidating its ties with Russia. However, during the Trump administration, Israel had the support of the US and successfully worked with the US in navigating the unforeseeable paths of the international arena. But in the Biden administration, which is identical to Obama's presidency, Israel's relations with the US have fallen back into an uncertain, bleak arena, bringing it closer to Russia. Now, Israel and Iran are arch enemies, and whichever government, whether Republican or Democrat, comes to power in the US, the rivalry between Tehran and Jerusalem remains the same. However, whenever a Republican government comes to power in the US, it treats Iran brutally and mercilessly. But when it comes to Democrat governments, it extends a hand of friendship to Iran every time it comes to power. The initiation of negotiations to revive the JCPOA deal by the Biden administration is a testament to this fact. Against such a backdrop, Russia's position in the context of recurring rivalries and heightened tensions between Israel and Iran has been the same. Moscow has maintained a neutral stance in the intensifying conflict between Jerusalem and Tehran. Despite having a strong partnership with Israel, Russia has never stopped Iran from pursuing an aggressive strategy against Israel. Since Russia is not taking any side in the intensifying conflict between Israel and Iran, Jerusalem too needs to follow the principle of neutrality in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing a tremendous domestic political crisis, is neglecting the fact that he is making a blunder by arming Ukraine. The dynamic between Israel and Iran is a classic case of geopolitical rivalry. For years, the two have been at each other's throats, competing for every opportunity and taking jabs at each other whenever possible. Despite their animosity, they have managed to coexist, perhaps thanks to their mutual friend, Russia. Russia is an important figure in this dynamic as it serves as a bridge between Israel and Iran. Russia is a close friend of both the countries. However, Russia is embroiled in a conflict with Ukraine, which it sees as a thorn in its side. This is where things get complicated. Israel, in an effort to hurt Iran, has chosen to supply weapons to Ukraine. This may seem like a strategic move at first as it puts Israel in a position of power. However, Israel fails to realize that by supporting Ukraine, it is putting itself at risk of losing everything. Ukraine, like Russia, is a key player in this situation. It has its own set of issues with Iran, given the fact that Tehran supplied military drones to Russia. Hence, Israel sees Ukraine as an ally. However, Ukraine is also an unpredictable force, capable of turning on Israel at any moment. By aligning itself with Kiev, Israel is putting its own interests of losing a partner like Russia at risk. This is a common mistake that countries make when trying to gain an advantage in a complex geopolitical situation. They focus on short-term gains rather than considering the long-term consequences of their actions. Israel may feel like it is winning by supporting Ukraine, but in reality, it is setting up itself for a major loss. To make matters worse, Israel is not alone in its support of Ukraine. There are other players who are also vying for Zelensky's favor, creating a crowded and competitive landscape. This means that Israel will have to work even harder to maintain its position, putting itself at even greater risk. It is easy to see why Israel might feel like it needs to take drastic measures to hurt Iran. After all, the two have been enemies for years, and Iran has likely caused Israel no shortage of frustration and disillusionment. However, Israel would be wise to take a step back and consider its options more carefully. Take the example of Russia's strategy regarding India and China. India and China's rivalry has been going on for years. They have been fighting against each other in almost every domain. They are known for their escalating conflicts and fierce competition. However, despite their conflict, both India and China are good friends with Russia. Russia has known India and China for a long time and it values their friendships. However, when it comes to their rivalry, Russia has refused to take sides. Moscow doesn't want to get involved in their disputes and believes that New Delhi and Beijing can resolve their differences by themselves. Russia's refusal to pick a side may seem like a weak stance to some, but in reality, it is a mature decision. Russia recognizes that taking sides would only fuel the conflict and cause further damage to their friendship. Moscow wants to remain friends with both India and China and refuse to let their rivalry come between them. Russia's decision not to take sides teaches countries like Israel an important lesson about conflict resolution. It's essential to remain impartial and look for ways to resolve issues without taking sides. By doing so, nations can maintain healthy relationships and prevent the escalation of conflicts. Hence, rather than aligning itself with Ukraine, Israel must maintain its strong partnership with Russia. This could lead to a more stable and productive geopolitical environment for Israel. By focusing on the bigger picture rather than short-term gains, Israel could position itself for long-term success. Of course, this is easier said than done. Geopolitical rivalries can be incredibly difficult to navigate, and it's not always possible to find common ground with someone who has caused you so much grief in the past. However, it is worth remembering that Israel's feud with Iran is not a zero-sum game. By working together, both countries could potentially achieve more than they ever could on their own. In conclusion, Israel's decision to support Ukraine in order to hurt Iran may seem like a strategic move, but it is ultimately a risky one. By focusing on short-term gains, Israel is putting itself at risk of losing everything. Instead, Israel should take a step back and consider its options more carefully. It should be focusing on the bigger picture rather than trying to score a quick victory. Only then it can truly position itself for long-term success and prosperity.